Hello. This is going to be the first of a few videos. Um, Thank you for all of the questions. We actually had gotten enough questions that we're gonna, in order to answer even half of them, we're gonna have to make a couple of separate videos. So, with that in mind, here is the female that was being discussed previously.
Hi.
You're not too happy with me, huh?
Not really. I didn't volunteer for this.
Fuck off. Anyways, let's get a couple of the more important questions out of the way. How quickly are you able to go and break down an Uzi?
I've actually never done that.
Alright, I didn't think so, but you never know. Alright, now for the other troll question. I'm actually enjoying this. Do you have rape fantasies?
Well, from all the porn I've seen, it comes to be a very common fantasy in both genders. So I don't see how that's really a question.
I'm going to need a yes or a no.
Yes.
Okay. Now, since you alluded to it, from first to second hand knowledge, not third and whatnot, how many other women do you know who have these same thoughts?
Most of them?
So the idea of having to fill out a consent contract, like college students now have to out over in California, that doesn't list very high on your fantasy chart.
No. Wait a minute, honey. I need you to sign this form before we do anything. Yeah, it doesn't sound like it's making a very fun night.
All right. Now for a question that I've seen pop up from time to time. The question comes in is, why is it that a female will often ignore who she has in her corner in order to acquire whom is unavailable? Essentially, why can't she see it? There's a good guy next to her already.
Often girls might see it, but the answer is, well, why don't we just be friends? Now, that doesn't get you anywhere.
No.
But we have insanely high standards.
And yet men are not allowed to have any?
Well, the fugly chicks need someone.
Not my problem.
I don't know what to tell you then. Someone's got to do it.
If you told me that it was my duty to fuck your sister, I'd probably slam it in a sliding glass door.
I wouldn't blame you.
Alright, so see, I always kind of thought that they would always try and keep a few of these guys around as essentially a backup plan. That if nothing else, they always have some chump to fall back on.
In a worst case scenario, yes. Generally, they just stay in the friend zone.
So once it looks like you're there, just give up.
Pretty much.
Alright. Let me ask you. Did you grow up in what could be considered a feminist household?
Probably.
To what extent?
Well, my mom and dad were married. My mom was in charge. Everything was about the woman. She was in charge. She made the decisions. It was all on her.
How did that work out?
They got divorced after being married for 12 years. He could only put up with so much.
Alright, now, just for some context, your parents were married.
Yes.
Why were they married?
They got married because they were pregnant with me. And it was... My mom had the decision to make between one guy who worked in McDonald's or another guy whose dad had a whole lot of money. She made the typical female answer and went for the one with money.
Now, is the man who raised you your biological father?
No.
Was he aware of this?
He was not aware until after they were married. And then it was pretty much confirmed that he wasn't the dad when I was born.
It was that obvious, huh?
None of my siblings look like me.
Well, that would tend to point in that general direction. Alright. Now, here's one you and I have talked about a few times. Artificial wombs.
What about him?
What do you think of them? I mean, do you think this is a technology that we should pursue?
I think it could be useful. There are plenty of women who have had hysterectomies and decide they want children later on.
Okay, isn't that kind of like a final decision there?
It would be, but with an artificial womb, it wouldn't.
Okay. Now, when it comes to the artificial womb, all right, so far research has been capped off at 2 weeks because under international law, essentially, it's internationally recognized that at 2 weeks an embryo becomes a human being. Now, should us here in the United States, since apparently as a result of our abortion laws, we don't feel that an embryo and subsequent baby is a human being until 20 to about 20 weeks. So, what do you think? Should we pursue this technology here in the U.S.?
I think it's a Good technology, and it should be done in the U.S., but policy's gonna get in the way. There's too many libtards.
All right. Now, with an artificial womb, it would then become possible for a man to be able to have a child without the assistance of a woman. All right. Now, with this in mind, that actually opens up a whole realm for men where we don't have to worry about having our child taken away and our stuff taken away and any future earnings taken away. From a woman's point of view, does the possibility of an artificial womb being used to essentially free men from essentially having to have anything to do with a woman except for sex, how would you feel about that if essentially your gender is obsolete?
I would still think you would need women to go ahead and produce all the eggs.
We've actually figured out how to go and take a cell from a man and zap it and turn it into an egg cell.
Yeah, I still don't know how I feel about a world without women.
Fair enough. You're interested in your own survival.
Self-preservation is pretty high on the list.
Well, I'm glad to hear that. How about sex dolls or sex robots? It's right there. I'm reading it on the screen. Right now, I am aware of there being a couple of companies that are pursuing this type of technology.
More than pursued? Actually, the companies have already come out with some amazing ones.
Okay, I was kind of leading into that. What can you tell me about them?
They're supposed to be the most realistic to an actual female. It's, I thought, $30,000 to get one that looks exactly like whatever porn star that they have on their list.
I am not spending 30 grand for a fake twat.
Oh no, it's a full body. No back talking, does what you want when you want it. 100% supposed to feel like real skin, with all the bells and whistles.
Just out of curiosity, have you actually looked into this stuff?
G-Force had a special on it.
Alrighty. Well, alright, out of curiosity, I mean, a lot of guys here have always heard women complain about how all guys only think about is sex, and that's all we talk about. That's our entire lives. In your experience, who actually discusses sex and relationships and whatever else more? I mean, you've lived in a frat house at one point in time, so I would assume you've had a fairly wide range of exposures here.
The one female answer I would give is probably it takes one to know one. The problem is the women are wrong. Men don't do that. Women do all the time.
Now, when they're going in talking about what, just is it just sex or what?
Anything and everything. How long it was, how thick it was, what they did, everything.
The whole dick length argument, and I almost think that a lot of the women I've met almost look at it as like a competition as to who's taking the biggest dick.
There's a slight competition, and most women have a cutoff of don't go past this or you're just crazy.
Yeah, like getting launched into a wall.
Yeah, not something women usually want.
Now, bouncing around here a bit, we have some really, really good questions. What are your views on feminism?
There are two different kinds of feminism.
Define two different kinds, because there's the radical nut job that we all see, but even most of the semi-sane ones, or they appear semi-sane, once they get into a conversation, they tend to lose all ability to maintain coherent thought.
Yeah, that's exactly the mainstream one. Then there's the other side of it, which would be like a Sarah Palin, which is the, poster girl for it. Independent, does her own stuff, isn't relying on a man. She can hunt, she can cook, she can do it on her own, but is still married because she loves her husband. And just has more common sense than the typical mainstream feminist.
Okay. Now, there's a number of women who have been posting videos on YouTube about I am against feminism for yada yada, the whole thing of I need feminism signs.
Okay.
It's essentially I don't need feminism. Now, they all list their own reasons for it. What I want to ask you is, do you think that modern day feminism is a good thing, a bad thing, and how do you think it's going to evolve?
Modern day feminism is communism. They want equal shares of everything, but don't have to do anything. You can't expect us to have to work. But we still want the paycheck. But we don't want you unless it's for sex.
Professional man whore.
It sounds like a fantasy, I'm sure.
I don't know. If you've seen any of my other videos, you'd probably realize that there's a fairly high chance of catching something from some strange.
We're not Charlie Sheen now.
Alright. When it comes to divorce, you've been on both sides of this. You've been divorced twice.
Yep.
How old were you when you first got married?
I was 15.
15?
Yep. Missouri allows you to get married at 15 if one parent signs the consent.
Do you have any, like, any family members that are, like, sheep farmers by any chance?
Not that I know of, no.
So, how did that happen? I mean, how did you end up getting married at 15?
It was a legal arrangement. Many senses, obviously.
So it was like an arranged marriage?
No, there was legal issues with me being 15 and him being 18. My dad didn't approve and was trying to push statutory rape. So we got married because then it wasn't. It was marital.
I take it didn't end very well.
Obviously, since there was another husband later and another divorce, probably not.
Alright. Now, have you seen divorce from the side of the father figure, of the male?
Yes.
How do you feel about that? I mean, do you like it? Does it help you? Do you not like it? What?
If you're lucky enough to have decent courts and lots of money to test your soon-to-be ex-wife and put her through every kind of psych eval, drug test, and pulling the old medical records and everything, you're fucked. I only know one instance where the man kind of came out on top, but not really. He just was able to keep most of his money and his own house and car, and the kids got to stay where they had, been raised since they were practically born. And he actually was kind of able to come out on top. He still had half the debt that mostly she had racked up with her spending habits. But at least he didn't have to pay her thousands of dollars. He just had to slowly pay off all the debt.
Okay, that sucks.
That was the best case scenario.
Alright, and you know what I've been through.
You got fucked.
You've actually seen the papers.
She wasn't a good fuck to start.
But those titties.
Which are now hanging at her belly button. 4 children later, and they are on the floor.
Yeah, I'm never gonna stop laughing about that one.
I think you got off easy.
Really, $100,000 to go and get my driver's license back. That's easy.
No, just getting rid of her. You'd be dead. You were worth more.
Yeah.
She luckily only divorced you. She could have killed you. Temporary insanity.
Yeah, I think that's actually happening a lot more now as a result of the courts. ex-husbands or soon-to-be ex-husbands are figuring out that even though sometimes it may be cheaper to keep her, it could also it could just make more sense to get rid of her.
Well, if your option is something horrible, like alimony on top of your child support, you're paying her for the rest of your life. No one wants to do that. You're gonna pay someone that you despise and you just wish you could go kill. But now you have to pay them thousands of dollars and practically live out of your own car just so that you can try to get by.
Yeah, that or about 10 to 15 years. 10 to 15 kind of sounds like a bargain.
Well, you actually make a little bit of money in there too that you get to keep once you've paid off your fines and everything. So, realistically, at least you're able to make money. You have room and board. You're still working. They do teach you skills.
And there's the constant threat of being anally raped.
Well, you can be anally raped for 10 to 15 years or the rest of your life because you're paying your ex-wife.
If those are my options, I'm catching a little boat and I'm heading down to Chile.
I guess that would be an option.
Alright. Now, I like this one. Should women go to jail for making false rape accusations?
Well, women definitely get away with it a lot more than men. I don't really know of any cases where a man was able to win because he was supposedly raped. I mean, even if you can prove it, it's still your fault because she put Viagra in your drink the night before, and it was still your fault.
You have some experience in this, do you?
Well, unfortunately, Viagra they can test you for, but there are many herbal versions that do the exact same thing.
You know, you're kind of creepy.
I've been called worse.
Well, for me, I personally feel that if a woman or anyone makes a false claim and an accusation, their minimum sentence should be the maximum sentence that would have been applied to the person they were falsely accusing.
I don't know if I agree with the maximum sentence, but they should at least get the minimum, which is at least, I think, like 18 months.
Okay, now, do you think modern technology should be more readily employed within investigations? Especially in the case of divorce and custody, since those are listed as civil cases. How do you feel, how do you feel, for example, about the implementation of fMRIs within the family courts?
Specifically, family court covers a lot of different areas. If we're going on family divorce court, I kind of like the idea, but it's one of those I like the idea, but never use it on me, which is how most women would view it.
So, as a woman, you you like the idea of being able to implement that form of technology, just as long as you are never the one being scrutinized with it.
Well, that's the beauty of modern feminism. We're not guilty of anything. We're always right, and you're always wrong.
I'd beg to differ on that one.
I'm sure you would. You're not a woman.
Yes, you're right. I'm not a woman. I don't get an extra, like, 10 points added to my ASVAB score.
It's not only the ASFAB. Even some of the new state tests with Common Core actually do require that women are graded on a different scale.
You mentioned Common Core, right? Why would you know much about Common Core?
I do not send my children to public school. So it is partially because the schools were bad to start no matter where you were. And with Common Core, they equalized it for, the places like Detroit, where if you're lucky, 10% of the population can read and write in English.
It's funny you should mention that, because I remember a little while ago it was the head of the school board here in Detroit. He couldn't read. He was completely illiterate, and he was the head of the entire school system over here.
Well, they now have gone and implemented reading tests for all teachers and school staff to make sure they actually can read and write to teach it to the children.
Dude, that is truly pathetic.
That's how bad our schools were to start. Because they've all graduated, all right, through college and some masters. But we have to check to make sure they can read and write before they're going and teaching all of the children in public school.
Holy crap. Alright. Alright. This is one of the weirder ones. Do you think a man should have the right to discipline a woman when she gets out of line?
Yes, but that can be taken many ways.
Would you care to explain at all? I mean, at the moment, it's a bit of a cliffhanger here. I mean,
okay, in Michigan, and I think most of the counties at this point, emotional abuse can be prosecuted generally against the men for you just raising your voice, you having a deep voice, you giving her a weird look, you not complimenting her.
Wait. If I compliment her, then I'm guilty of sexual harassment.
Yes, but if you don't, then you're emotionally abusing her by making her feel inadequate.
So, am I emotionally abusing a 40-year-old broad if I'm porking her like 22-year-old daughter?
If you were dating her first, yes. I don't know if that'll happen, but if you somehow could pull it off, it would technically be emotional.
Wait, so I am guilty of domestic abuse by porking my now ex-wife's sister the night I kicked her out of the house.
Technically, it's actually the charges would be emotional abuse, literally.
I didn't do anything to her. It was her sister.
Obviously. The problem is that they actually have a different set of jail times than domestic abuse. You also have to go to, well, sensitivity training in order for you to learn to be polite.
Learn to be polite.
To do what a woman wants.
I have a whole can full of blow it out your fucking ass for that.
Most women talk out of their ass because they're full of hot air. So, I mean, you're just fueling the fire here.
Oh, okay. Alright. What do you think about affirmative action for, like, college? I mean, right now, like, 60% of all students that are being accepted into college are females. There's also all of the female-only grants and the single mother-only funding. Do you think that at 60% of the college population, that we still need all of these programs, or can we finally go to like a merit-based process?
Well, that's what Common Core is for. We're going to make sure that everyone is on an equal field. Because even though the people in Detroit, only 10% of them can read and write, they still deserve the same equal rights to being able to go to college and make something of yourself as the kid who sat in his room and actually worked his ass off by studying and sitting there and learning all the actual stuff. You make sure that it's all equal, which really isn't equal in the end.
Alright, well, we're at 38 minutes right now, and we're not even close to even halfway through all of the questions. I think we probably have enough time for in this video for one more. I think that one's gonna be a little longer. Alright, I kind of like that one. Let me see here. In Germany, an unemployed female school teacher was told that she had to be employed as a prostitute in a brothel for her own protection, for her to continue receiving benefits. With the U.S. government spending $18 trillion with no end in sight in the future, actually it's worse than that. Our full debt is over $60 trillion with a hell of a lot more in unfunded liabilities. I mean, dude, we are so screwed. So what do you think? Should any woman receiving assistance be required to have some form of employment in order to receive said assistance?
I think that most people should have to have employment, male, female, or anything else, since there are now more categories to that. They should all have to work in order for them to receive their benefits.
Now, on a side note to this, how do you feel about requiring anyone receiving benefits to a random a monthly drug test?
See, I've gone through some random monthly drug test, and the way they do it doesn't work. They give you a list of the times and dates when you need to report in. So, as long as you know you're going to be clean with about 48 hours of when you have to go in, you want to make sure to drink lots of water. So, it's not random. But if it was truly random and they had like a 24-hour clinic or something that you got to call, and within a day you had to report into this clinic to go take a drug test, yes, I think it would be a good thing. But that's spending more money on this. It's already not funded. We can't put more money into it.
Oh, yes, we can. We can go to a 75% tax rate like France.
God bless America. You wouldn't have anyone left but the people on assistance, so it collapses. You can't support it that way.
All right, well, interesting segue. I was planning on cutting this off, except what do you think would happen if all public assistance for, let's say, just single mothers? What do you expect to see in that? And I'm like, try and be somewhat serious about this. And
the joke would be all the worst parts of the Bible. Now, we're going to be a little more serious. They're going to riot. They're going to destroy things, blow things up. I mean, you may not have any vehicles left or any form of transportation if they all don't get their stuff. But if somehow that didn't happen, yeah, they still wouldn't work. They'd be living off of the churches instead of off the government, which then you have to convince all the churches not to give away food and to help all the people that they've already been helping. Not something that's likely to happen. They may scale it back and require pay stubs, but all that can be forged.
all right, now since we're on this, we're kind of stepping around it. Currently, you would be classified as a single mother, correct?
Yes.
As far as your formative years, would you consider yourself being raised by a single mother?
On a technicality, yes. My dad worked to pay the bills, so he wasn't at home, and when they got divorced, I went and moved with my mom. So it was always her around, and she was a single mother on assistance.
Do you think you made the right choice by going with your mother?
My life would not be the same. I wouldn't have gotten married and divorced twice. I wouldn't have 5 children. Um,
Wait. So, how do you directly attribute all of this to being raised by a single mother?
well, one would be when my mom and dad got divorced, we moved 2 hours away from where I grew up. So I knew nobody. She knew nobody. So I could do whatever I wanted. It didn't matter, and she was now having to actually do something with her life. She was going to college, and she wasn't home because she was in school or work study to pay the bills all of a sudden. So she completely forgot that I was there for the most part. She wouldn't even go grocery shopping. So I pretty much got thrown into college life because I'm in middle school and now making sure the rent got paid and there's food in the house.
Wait, how is it you were in middle school, yet you are the one making sure that the rent got paid? Or, cause I just heard that. I don't know if I had heard you wrong or not.
Well, she had a debit card and gave me all of her information to be able to call and pay the bills over the phone with her credit card and driver's license and social security number and everything I could need in order to pay the bills that were in her name. And we paid it with student loans and the work study that she got.
Wait. So if I understand this right, you essentially were a traditional 1950s style housewife to your mom.
Well, I still had to get up in the morning and go to school.
Well, hopefully you weren't. Well, seriously, you didn't have to miss too much school because of this crap, did you?
No, I went almost every day, and my mom eventually realized that we lived in Flint, which is the current murder capital of the U.S., and we lived downtown right next to a crack hotel. It was literally an old hotel that was run down, and the crack dealers were on the corner. Cops would roll through certain times of the day, and there wouldn't be anybody. 30 minutes later, everybody was back. I mean, it was the worst possible area. So she finally realized that and allowed me to go pretty much move in with my boyfriend.
How old were you?
I was 13.
Wait, you were 13, and your mother, let you move in with your boyfriend?
Technically, I live with her, but most of the week during the school week, instead of her having to make sure that I got off to school, I would spend the night at his house so that his grandma would drive us in.
Wait, did you say his grandma?
He lived with his grandma, so it's who took care of him, and I slept in his room, in his bed,
And his grandma was okay with this?
She did not like us sleeping anywhere near each other. We were supposed to sleep on opposite sides of the room, and he had the attic of a bungalow.
Out of curiosity, did that ever once stop you?
No.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious, and knowing
How many times did I get caught? I think it was probably only 3 or 4.
actually I was gonna go in a different direction, and this relationship that you were having at the age of 13. At 13, yeah. Who was the more sexually aggressive party?
You know, he loved Sonic. He loved to sit there and play Sonic on his GameCube for hours. And we would listen to Korn, and the CD was Issues over and over again. I learned to stay out of the way of the TV and still get what I wanted.
That was kind of roundabout. You didn't quite answer the question here.
He was generally more interested in video games, so I was the one pursuing it at this point.
So I gotta ask, how is it to feel that in this case you essentially ranked lower than a video game?
It was honestly not surprising. I mean, that's the sad part. I always came in last. I was the oldest. I wasn't my dad's first daughter. So I was the black sheep.
No, you were the bear trap your mother set for the poor man, and to trick him into marrying her by telling him you were his.
Unfortunately, he was dumb enough to marry her before the child was born. He tried to do the right thing.
Honey, he's Catholic. He didn't have a choice.
He hates his dad. I mean, trying to win over your dad after you claim to have hated him. Literally, for all of my life, he's complained about his high dad and how bad he is. Now, that could be reverse psychology type stuff where he's just trying to impress his dad, which is an unfortunate attempt because it will never happen. I have gotten his dad's blessing, but he never has.
Ouch. That doesn't exactly say very much to his character either.
No, not really.
Ouch. Actually, it was yesterday. I had mentioned shit tests, and you gave me this weird quizzical look of, like, what the fuck are you talking about? Until yesterday, had you even ever heard of the term shit test?
No, I had no idea what it was at all.
And after I ain't gonna ask yet. Now, as far as shit tests go, to your understanding, what are they, and what is the purpose for doing them?
They are where the woman tries to get you to do something. And it's to see whether or not you'll actually do what she wants. If You do what you want. You're a bitch. You're a pussy. She will continue to do it forever. Just to see how far you will go for her.
And when a woman tries this, and the typical answer from the man in question is, "Go fuck yourself."
Then you have the same thing I've actually seen with guys. You want what you can't have. You try to continue after they've already told you off, after they put you in the friend zone. You're just not going to get there, but you really want it, so you're going to keep trying.
All right, you're getting this really creepy look in your eye. Have you ever been called or considered a stalker?
You know, I do like that Police song, Every Breath You Take. It's actually one of my favorites. And I prefer the Police version of it.
All right. You still didn't quite answer the question. Should I go and rephrase that and ask if every breath you take should probably be listed as your theme song?
No, generally it's been Crazy Bitch. That was always my ringtone from a lot of people, friends, family, ex-husbands. Yeah, Crazy Bitch is probably the anthem.
So, you're a coke slut?
I wouldn't say Coke slut. I don't usually do Coke. I don't even drink pop.
So, okay, what about the slut part?
Yes, I've been called that.
Have you been called a slut more often by men or women?
Actually, both. But probably more by men.
Wow. Like, in what context? You're,
Generally, it was you gold digging, backstabbing, motherfucking, lying, goddamn slut.
wow. Okay. Still nicer than some of the things I've called my ex-wife.
I mean, considering all the options, it really wasn't that bad.
All right. Now, I mentioned that while doing some family things, I had bumped into you, and we had talked, and we're going over some stuff. And just for a clarification, how long have we known each other?
11 years. Almost exactly.
Dear God.
Yes, putting up with you for 11 years. I mean, okay, for all of you actually listening to this, everything that you are hearing about him discussing things, you get the simplified version. I have heard this stuff for the last 11 years. Imagine your negging little ex-wife going on about the same things for 11 years.
Well, I just wanted to make sure that certain concepts got pounded into that thick skull of yours.
You know, I know it takes a long time for me to actually understand a concept, not even start using it or putting it into practice. But just to understand what you're actually saying may take 5 or 6 times. But I don't need to hear it.
Now, and what exactly about it bothers you?
The biggest one that you've recently gone off with is gay marriage.
Well, how do you feel about it?
My aunt is lesbian.
All right.
You would assume I am for it. I have ex-girlfriends, one of which is actually engaged. No, don't allow it. If you allow it to be marriage, it gets divorce. No. Women and the mainstream feminists should realize that women against women, you can't have one is better than the other unless you look at all the facts. When you take that and apply it as a already completed divorce and use it in a male versus woman scenario, we lose because generally we don't work. We sit around and be gold digging, backstabbing, lying, slutty ass bitches.
Now you have mentioned that again. I have to ask for some clarification. Is this or was this actually descriptive?
I had technically done it with my first husband. Granted, I'm in high school. I was going to school, trying to pass my classes, getting ready to go to college. I wasn't trying to drop out of school and go get a job. But I was obviously expected to have done that.
All right. Well, we have now broken 1 hour. It's his new record for me. Hopefully, someone will actually listen to this. Well,
there's lots of sex in it.
Well, actually, with some of the questions I haven't even gotten close to yet, we haven't actually hit in some of the more sex-focused questions.
Wow. This could be interesting.
Well, thank you. I apologize that it has run on this long. We will be recording another video to finish up on some more of these questions within the next day or so, hopefully. And well, it's almost 4 o'clock in the morning since you work third shift. We're kind of limited on the schedules here, so.
Yes, I went from the gold digging, backstabbing, lying, slutty bitch to actually working and being the one that's paying the bills.
Just out of curiosity, wondering if karma were to come back and actually bite someone in the ass, what exactly are you doing right now?
Well, I used to have really bad luck. Everything went wrong. I was always the jinx for the bad things, never the good. Never, ever the good. And so I've attempted to actually use morals, which used to be almost a swear word for me to say something like that before. But since I have learned to start doing that and actually being polite to other people, I've actually had better luck. So I would assume that my karma's getting better, hopefully. I'm not to an American dog where I'm spoiled rotten and don't have to do anything because I'm hand-fed. But I'm not an ant that gets squished or zapped by electronics.
All right. Well, on that, I think we're gonna have to go. So, thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed this interview.
All right.